Hello, my Teaserking family. Yes, my hair is a mess because I am trying something with it. All right. If you want to grow your hair, my hair is getting a little thin up top. So I'm trying castor oil and coconut oil. And I mix it together in a bowl and then I put it on my head. I don't know. My hair feels funny. It feels thinner. Feels a little better. And we'll see if it works. It's supposed to grow here, but I got nothing to lose. I just don't like this much, but there is thin hair coming in, so we'll see. And it takes like a month. It's not a day, but we'll keep you posted. All right, NFL playoffs. Let's go through the lines and let's go through the scenarios. So today, Jalen Hurts he's out of week 16. Oh, well, I thought he was out. Okay, I thought he was out this week, so I guess he was knocked out of the game. It's not the same as he's not playing this week. Uh, so right now they're questionable. I'll get back to you on that. Josh Allen hurt his elbow. He's also questionable. I'll keep you on update with that. George Pickens is back for Pittsburgh today with a few other guys. Never heard of them, but they're back also. Let's look at the playoff, and then we'll go into the line. So Buffalo's clinched the AFC East, Houston the South, Kansas City the West. Baltimore and Pittsburgh are tied, both needing to win. So that affects today's game. They both need to win. So in Pitt, KC needs to win for to clinch the 1 seed, but Pittsburgh needs it. And Pittsburgh's a much better team at home. They lost those games at Philly and at Baltimore, and they're much better at home. And after these, it's Kansas City, but they can do something. They're a much better team, and KC, they play a lot of close games, so we'll see how that comes in. KC clinches one with a win or a Buffalo loss. All right. Denver at Cincinnati. Denver clinches a playoffs berth with a win. Apparently, Cincinnati is out. They don't 9-6. They're 7-8. They can finish 9-8, but apparently they're out of the playoffs. So Denver beats Cincinnati. They win. San Diego, New England. San Diego clinches a playoff berth if they beat New England. Okay, so there you go. So there's Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Denver and San Diego are all need to win. Doesn't mean they will, just they need to. Now, Denver at Cincy could be either way because you're still fucking with Joe Burrow. San Diego, New England, I'd be shocked if San Diego lost. And then Baltimore at Houston, I don't know because you got to trust Lamar. And then Pitt and KC, you're fucking with Mahomes, so you got to be careful there. So just because Pittsburgh and Baltimore need to win doesn't mean they will. However, Baltimore is a 11-2 road favorite, and Pittsburgh is 12-3 in a teaser this year. Play against Kansas City 11-2. KC's 12-3 in a teaser. So KC, this should be a very good game. I wouldn't just bet Pitt because they need to win. Baltimore, same thing with Houston. I wouldn't just bet them, but we'll see which Lamar shows up. Definitely San Diego and Denver. San Diego, New England, I would think that would come through. Denver, Cincy, I'm not sure, but Denver is the dog there. Let's continue. So that's the AFC. So basically, Houston's in. Baltimore needs the game. And Casey's looking for the 1 seed, and Pitt needs to win, and San Diego, Denver need to win, and then you get down with Buffalo. It would be dependent on if KC loses, Buffalo still in for the 1 seed. If KC wins, they clinch it. Probably Josh Allen probably doesn't play because he hurt his hand. Maybe he plays, but he hurt his hand. In the NFC, Detroit has clinched a playoff berth, but not the 1 seed, or they haven't even won the division. Green Bay's clinched a berth. Washington's clinched a berth. The Eagles have clinched a berth. Detroit at Frisco. Detroit clinches the NFC title and the 1 seed if they win and Minnesota loses. Well, Minnesota plays Green Bay. So even if Minnesota loses, Detroit still has to win a Monday night. So you still have Detroit as a very live play. I really can't believe the line's 3.5 here. It's like the Bears line last week. I don't know what. This is AI at its finest, right? Philly played Dallas. They clinched the NFC East division with a win or a Washington loss. So Philly plays Dallas. Washington plays Atlanta. So Washington's playing Sunday night. Philly plays at 1:00. So Philly has to win. The question is Jalen Hurts had a concussion? Is he going to be back? And then Kenny Pickett, all of a sudden, who sucks, had a good game last week. Is he going to? He had a good game. They lost to Washington. So again, Washington still needs to win to clinch a playoff spot, right? That isn't clinched yet. So Philly has to win, and Washington has to lose for Philly to clinch. So Washington's got Atlanta again Sunday night. The Rams, Arizona. The Rams clinched the NFC West they need to win and Seattle lose. They need to win, and they clinched the tiebreaker with Seattle, and then Seattle, they win, they tie, and the Seattle loss. So they need to win, but they're not in with the win. They still need Seattle to lose. So the Rams, Arizona, it doesn't say anything. They're 2 back, so I guess Arizona's out, I would think. Washington clinches a playoff berth with a win or a Tampa loss. Tampa plays Carolina at home. Tampa's going for their own division, so Tampa needs to win. Tampa and Atlanta are fighting for the division. Where is that? Oh, here, Atlanta at Washington. Atlanta clinches the South with a win and a Tampa Bay loss. If they lose, Tampa then wins and still needs. So this is going down to the last week. Basically, Atlanta. So Atlanta has to beat Washington for them, and Washington needs to get into the playoffs with the win over Atlanta. So this is a playoff game, Washington and Atlanta. And we saw how good. The interesting things are how good whatchamacallit looked. Daniels, how good he looked against Philly. With 5 turnovers, they still won the game. And then you got Penix starting to play, and he looked very sharp. Philly, Dallas, Cooper Rush is looking very good. So it's not a gimme for Philly, especially if Hurts doesn't play. Now, I'm sure if Hurts is out with the concussion, Pickett will play. He's got bad ribs. I love these guys. They don't wear rib protectors. What are they, out of their minds? Then they keep hurting their ribs. So it's just stupid. So that's your playoff. So let's go through our lines. So today, 1:00 on apparently Netflix, which is so stupid. So you got nobody, unless you have Netflix, you can't watch the game. Really? This is how stupid it is. So we got KC 2.5 and 44.5. And again, this receiver Pickens is playing for Pittsburgh. KC needs it for the 1 seed. Pitt needs it for the to win their division. KC's 29-7 in the teaser, 12-3. The last 2 years, 12-3 this year. Play against KC is 11-2. And taking Pitt this year's 12-3, and Pitt's undefeated at home in a teaser. They're a much better home team. Again, their losses were at Baltimore and at Philadelphia. So they've had a real tough schedule here. Now they get KC. It's like college football. This is the SEC, and then you got Atlanta and Carolina playing bullshit. Baltimore 5.5 and 47. There's a few 6s, but we want 5.5. Well, let's go back through it. KC's a B team with a 19 defense. Pitt's a B team with a 20 defense. I'm not sure what to expect. I don't know what to do on the total here. KC plays, good defense in that. Pittsburgh, good defense. KC wins every game by a field goal. Pitt at home, so it's a real tough one. Baltimore is 5.5, 46.5. They're the over team with the 23 defense. So Lamar goes off and Henry goes off, and then their defense can't stop anybody. Houston was Stroud. They're an under team with the 22 defense. So they're probably more of an E. They probably score about 20, 21. They're more probably of an E, but because they don't score more than 22, I call them an under team. So what you got is Baltimore, who scores a lot, but now with a great defense, but it looked better last week. And Houston doesn't score much with decent defense. Now, Baltimore beat Pitt. Now they lost to Philly, and then they come back and beat Pitt. Will they be flat today after the Pitt game? I doubt it, because this is for to win the division. They have to win. Regardless, if Pitt wins, then Baltimore really has to win, and then it'll come down to next week. Houston has clinched. There's a big difference. I have to win versus I've clinched, and I don't. I assume Houston will play. It's a revenge game for the playoff game that Baltimore killed them last year. But Baltimore needs the game, and I don't know how Houston stops Lamar and Henry. Both are 27-7 since last year in a teaser. Baltimore is very good on the road. 11-2 is a road favorite. 6-1 this year, and play against 6-2. Houston's not. They're okay. They're not a great home dog, but they're not a home dog often because they play in the fucking AFC South, where they're always favored against these shit teams. So they did play Detroit pretty well, and then they lost to Tennessee at home. So we'll see. At the end of the day, Baltimore needs to win it, so you can go there. Probably points. 31. It should be. I can't see them. I can't see Baltimore not getting in the 20s. And this is a 46. Goes to 40. So it's a 40. I can't see this not getting to 40. But you never know. I mean, Baltimore's defense could play, and Houston Stroud maybe can't take advantage of it. Tank Dell is out. So we'll see. But Baltimore, it's a must win for them. So you got to go from there. Seattle and the Bears. Seattle 3.5, 43.5, and a must win for them. They have to win, and then they get the Rams next week, I believe. So they got to win out. The Bears suck. It's only 3.5. I don't get these 3.5 point spreads. This is AI doing averages and not taking into account these teams need to win for the playoffs. So that's really the key. Seattle is an under team. The spread's 3.5, 43.5. Seattle is an under team, 23 defense, and so's the Bears. Seattle's been playing better defensively, and I think against Caleb, I think that their defense will put a lot of pressure on them. I think they'll play well. Again, Caleb last week struggled against the Lions' fourth string defense, right? So this is the Lions when they had him Thanksgiving. He didn't even get a first down the whole first half. Against Seattle, they'll be coming after him. It's a must win. They seem to be hitting, Metcalf and Smith-Njigba, Lockett. They'll probably get rid of Lockett because he hasn't. If you got Smith-Njigba, you don't need Lockett. So I could see a team picking up Lockett next year. but Lockett's a great receiver, so I don't get that. Geno Smith, he's a choker. Chicago 6-1 is a home dog. That's about it. Let's look at San Diego, New England. San Diego must win to clinch a playoff spot. So they're playing. They play very good defense. They're an under team with an 18 defense. Again, it's 3.5, 42.5. There's also a 43. New England with Drake May. He likes to run a lot. It took him 15 tries from the Buffalo one to score last week at the end of the game. So San Diego, an under team with an 18 defense. New England, E team with the 24. Justin Herbert's playing very well. Their defense playing very well. New England's an even team, 24 defense. The defense isn't really that good, and Drake May is not really that good. We look at the trends. San Diego 26-6 in a teaser the last 2 years, 13-2 this year. 8-0 is a road favorite the last 2 years, 5-0 this year. Play against New England as a home dog is 9-2 the last 2 years, 5-1 this year. Play against San Diego is also 26-6. New England is 5-1 as a home dog and 10-1 as a home dog. So New England's a good home dog and a good play against. So they play close games at home. Drake May, he likes to run. Well, he's going to meet Khalil Mack and Bosa this week. Again, San Diego's in a must-win. A little bit of rain there. Cincinnati, Denver. I guess Cincinnati's out. They're 3-49.5. Denver's a very live dog here. They're playing very well. Bo Nix. They're a B team with a 19 defense. That won't stop Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, they're an over team with a 26 defense, which is why Cincinnati's struggling. And they played a lot of close games. They lost to KC by like 1 and twice to Baltimore by like 1. So they should be much better than that opening loss to New England. That's thanks to the coach for not playing him in the preseason, and that's going to cost you your playoffs. So this should be a playoff game, but I don't think that Cincinnati is still in it. I think they're out. So Denver needs the game, but Joe Burrow is not going to go quietly. So don't just bet Denver because they need the game. However, they are the dog. Denver 26-6 the last 2 years. Now, of course, Bo Nix wasn't there last year. Okay. Bo Nix here this year. They're 14-1 in a teaser. 5-1 is a road dog. Denver's a very live dog here. I'm shocked they're the dog, but I understand it with Burrow and Chase, and they're not going to not play. So this should be a very good game. We'll see there, but there should be points in this game with Joe Burrow. And Cincinnati doesn't really have a defense. LA 6.5, 47.5 to Arizona. LA in a must-win game. They still need to win, and Seattle needs to lose. So LA is there. We don't really have an injury. We'll get injuries today. So again, this game's not till Saturday. The only two today are KC, Pitt, Baltimore, Houston, and we saw the injuries for that. So LA 6.5. They're an E team, 23 defense, but it's been weird because they haven't had Cooper Kupp and Pukanuka all year, and then when they are there, they're scoring, probably close to 27, 28 points a game. So they're probably more of an A team or probably a B team. The 23 defense hurts them. Arizona, I don't understand. They're an under team. They just fucking lost to Carolina. Are you kidding me? Hey, Bobby Bo. They just lost to Arizona, lost to Carolina in a must-win game. So I think they're out of it. They're an under team. They don't score, and they have a 23 defense. Well, there's two things I wanted to say. I wanted to because there's two games today. I wanted to do playoff scenarios and just quickly look. I'm not going to do college. Just look at playoff scenarios. And then I was on the phone with my friend who I'm trying to, in other words, you see a train coming and you tell the guy, you better get off the tracks. The train's coming. And the guy says, okay, and doesn't listen to you. And yet the train's coming. And I call him again, a week ago. The train's coming. And yeah, okay. And he doesn't listen. So being stoic, I'm trying to help you, I say, right? Like I do here in class. I'm trying to help everybody. So I'm trying to help him. And he doesn't want to listen. And I didn't tell him to fuck off, but he says, well, I says, well, obviously you don't understand economics. And he says, well, you're attacking me. And I go, obviously a liberal. And I go, you're attacking me when I'm telling you to buy gold and you don't. You're basically attacking me. Either you don't believe me, you don't think I'm smart, or, whatever. That's attacking me. And I'm not going to stand for that. So I want to tell that story. Anyway, so LA needs the game, and Arizona, I don't know. They're 6.5. The Rams will score. I don't know about Arizona. They probably will. Quickly, Jacksonville 1-39.5, 40 to Tennessee. We don't care. It's not a playoff game. Buffalo is 9.5 and 47 to, there's a 46.5 to the JETSs. Josh Allen hurt his elbow and his hand, and I watched the play and I still didn't see it. So they don't need the game, and they've clinched the division unless KC loses. So if Pitt wins today, then bet heavy on Buffalo because they still have a shot at the 1 seed. If KC wins, they're all done, and maybe Josh Allen doesn't play. We got to wait till Sunday for that. Buffalo is an 18 with the 22 defense, and the Jets are an under with the 23. Play against the Jets. Play against the Jets 7-0. Play against the Jets 14-1. Play Buffalo 13-2 this year. So this year. Play against the Jets 14-1. Play on Buffalo 13-2. Play against the Jets the last 2 years 26-6. And play against the Jets is 7-0 as a road dog. So basically, this is a Buffalo game if Allen plays, if they need it. If they don't need it, we're not sure how they'll play. Tampa Bay, Carolina. Tampa Bay in a must-win. They're tied with Atlanta, so them and Atlanta need it. And then we'll see what happens next week. They are 7.5, 48.5 to Carolina. Carolina, a W team with a 30 defense. Tampa Bay's an over team, very explosive with the 24 defense. Tampa 29-5 in a teaser, 13-2 this year. Carolina is all over the board. Steve Young's not doing anything. They're basically giving the ball to Chuba Hubbard, and they're running the ball. That's why they're doing better. Their defense still sucks as they gave up 30 to Kyler Murray last week. So, again, this is a must-win for Tampa. Or you can play total on the game as Tampa is an over team and Carolina with the 30 defense. New Orleans, Oakland. Oakland is now a 1.5-point favorite. 37.5, down from 40. We'll call it 38. Play against Oakland, 12-3. New Orleans is injured. Kamara's out. Olave's out. Tyson Hill's out. And I don't know if the quarterback's out or not. We'll check. Again, it's too early in the week. This is stuff we normally talk about Thursday, Friday. So, again, Christmas on a Wednesday is throwing us for a loop. So I'll leave that alone for now. Dallas, Philly. Philly is 9.5, 41, down from 43. Hurts has a concussion. We'll have to wait and see. Pickett hurt his ribs. We'll have to wait and see. Killer defense. Philly's normally an A team with a 19 defense, but if they don't play, they're an under team, and you must act accordingly. Dallas is a good over team. They've been scoring with Cooper Rush, and they give up 27 a game. Without a quarterback, Philly will play Barkley run and defense, and Dallas with Cooper Rush. This spread's way too high. Dallas can hang with them, depending on, it doesn't matter who quarterbacks. Dallas is 8-2 as a road dog the last 2 years, 6-0 this year. Play against Philly as a home favorite is 11-2, 5-1 this year. Dallas is kind of scrambled eggs because all the Dak Prescott stuff. But when you look at Cooper Rush, they're very good. They went to Washington and won. They won at Carolina. They won last week. What did they do? They lost a close one. Dallas. Oh yeah, they beat Tampa Bay 26-24 at home. So Dallas is playing very good ball. They're a very live dog here. I would say if Hurts is out, then Dallas and 15 is a good play, and or the under. Although I want to play Dallas over because they don't have a defense. Indy 8-40.5. To the Giants. Indy's out of it. As far as I can see, they're an E team with the 24. The Giants are a Z with the 24. No quarterback. Play against the Giants as a home dog, 8-0. Play against Indy's 27-5. Play against Indy this year is 15-0. Indy has not. If you bet against them, you win every time. And Indy is 13-2 in a teaser, which you can be in a teaser. You can be both ways. So the spread, the bet should be the Giants because they're play against Indy 15-0, but we'll see who their quarterback is, and they've kind of given up. And Indy, I don't know. It's not a good play there. Miami 6.5-40. Miami. At Cleveland, I don't know who the quarterback is. Probably Thompson Robinson's on the injured list, but probably he'll play. 6.5-40. This is meaningless game. Miami's an under team with the 22. Cleveland is a Z team with the 25, and neither team has teaser trends. Game of the week, we got Minnesota. Well, one of the games. 1.5, 48.5. To Green Bay. 2 A teams playing. Green Bay 29-5 in a teaser the last 2 years, which is good because the coach and quarterback's been there. 11-0 is a road dog. 14-1 this year in a teaser. But wait a minute, Minnesota's 29-3 in a teaser. 5-0 is a home favorite. 14-1. So this is a 14-1 playing a 14-1. This is like the battle of the Titans, Clash of the Titans. You're probably okay anyway you want to bet this game. Green Bay 21 defense, Mini and 18. Total of 48.5. Both teams need it, and well, Mini needs it more for the win the division and the 1 seed. I don't think Green Bay can get it, but Green Bay's not going to just sit down either. They're playing well. I would think this game's decided by a field goal, and there'll be plenty of points. Atlanta, Washington. Both teams need the game. Washington wins, they clinch a playoff spot. Atlanta wins, they get to play the next week unless Tampa loses to get into to win their division. They can only win the division. They can't wild card it. Washington just beat Philly. Atlanta's an E team with the 23, but that's a question mark with Penix now. Washington has been a very strong B team and an over team with Daniels and a 23 defense. There definitely will be points in this game. Penix looked very good. In our last game, Detroit is 3.5, 50.5. A lot of injuries. 11-1 road favorite Detroit. 12-3 overall. Detroit's an A team with the 20 defense with the third stringers. Frisco's an under team with the 23. A lot of injuries. It's just hard for Frisco. It's a revenge game for Detroit for the playoffs. So that's what you have there. Detroit must win it to try to get the 1 seed and win the division. Even if Minnesota loses, and Philly doesn't matter now. It's them in Minnesota for the 1 seed in the division. Even if Minnesota loses, they play them next week. And so Detroit has to win to clinch. They don't really clinch. If Minnesota loses and they win, I think that they do clinch. So they still have to win no matter what Minnesota does. And that's the bottom line. So I want to talk about 401ks And people who still don't get money. Bobby Bo, yes, he reminds me of most of my family. After these holidays, I might need an extended break from them. Well, that's the problem with that. Um, anyway, so I went to Boneyard yesterday and I got ribs and chicken for today's lunch because I didn't want to go out today. The football games are on. So I'm going to have the barbecue ribs and chicken. I got chocolate mousse and I got salad. And that'll be lunch and dinner and football and everything else. All right. So my friend lives in Florida and not in Tampa, Bobby Bo. He's in Orlando area. He's close by, but not that close. So we're talking, and he's very condescending to me. I find I don't find he respects me, which pisses me off, and I'm ready to just tell him the fuck off because I don't have time. Or if you're going to disrespect me, I really don't need to talk to you, right? So I've told them for a year to buy gold, and I don't have money for it. He says I live paycheck to paycheck. The guy works for the DOD. Got to make over 100,000 a year, and he doesn't have money to buy gold. That's a big problem. So I keep saying, well, you need to buy gold. The dollar is going out, and he never listens to me. So this is the problem. So I'm sitting there telling him, well, you're fucked if you leave it. The 401k is my retirement. And I go, you won't have a retirement. It's worthless. It's monopoly money. It's worthless. But the guy won't listen to me. Now it's disrespectful anyway, but it's like, do you not believe me? Or, well, I don't want to pay tax on it. Well, what's the difference if you pay tax on it? I'd rather pay tax on it and have gold that as gold's gone up $1,000 from 1,700 to 2,700. If we just look at the last few years, not going back to when I bought this for $250 an ounce for gold in 1995. So you're sitting there and he says, well, you keep bringing this subject up. And I go, well, I don't know what to tell you because I keep telling you this shit and you keep ignoring me. So I keep telling you to buy gold and you say you don't have money. And then you tell me, oh, I have a lot of money in my 401k, which sounds like Luke's friend. And he doesn't listen. When I tell him that the money is monopoly money and it's going out and gold's going up, and I explain why you can't print it and it's going up because BRICS and the demand from all the central banks who are getting out of the dollar because they realize the dollar is worthless. And so you're sitting there trying to okay, he's a smart guy. I met him at Ford's. What part of this are you not understanding? And I bring up a softball story. I was teaching my daughter's softball teams when they were like third, fourth, sixth grade. And there'd be girls that couldn't catch or throw, and you try to teach them, and they're, like third graders. Well, how do you teach a third grader how to hit or how to throw or something? So you're trying to teach it, and you can see they don't get it. And as coach, it's up to me to teach them. So I try a different method. Well, this didn't work. Let's try this. And if this didn't work, let's try this. So I would try 5 or 6 things because it was my responsibility as the coach so they could catch and throw and hit. I mean, that's why they're there, right? But they're young. I taught my daughter how to hit. Basically, watch the ball, see the ball, hit the ball was my thing. You'll hit it if you keep your eye on it. A lot of one girl was watching the bat, not the ball, and she couldn't hit. Then I said, what the hell are you doing? And then she started watching the ball. And she started hitting. And anyway, so I'm doing that with this guy. I'm thinking, okay, you're not getting it. Okay, let me try a different approach. You're not understanding gold. You need gold and you got to get out of the dollar. The dollar's collapsing. They're printing the dollar to death. All the central banks are buying gold. They're dumping the dollar in the whole fucking world. Every central bank, Russia, China, the BRICS. What are you not understanding that you think the dollar? So you think the dollar will be fine. You think your retirement will be fine because nothing will happen to the stock market or the dollar. And I keep telling you, you're wrong. It's the dollar's collapsed. And then I say to him, China's collapsed, Japan's collapsed, Russia collapsed, Italy's collapsed, Germany's collapsed, England's collapsed, France has collapsed. We already know about Brazil, Venezuela, Argentina, and the Zimbabwe went to a new dollar, and probably most of Africa is collapsing. And what do you need to see? I mean, they're all collapsing. You don't think we're immune because we're the reserve currency? You think that's gonna help? So I'm sitting there just, I can't figure it out. And I said, well, I guess they didn't teach economics. He went to BYU at BYU. He says, well, you're attacking me, like a liberal would say. I go, no, I'm just being honest with you. I'm not attacking you at all. I just said, obviously, you didn't learn economics at BYU. Oh, I did. Well, obviously you didn't, because if you did, you'd be in gold. So obviously you had Keynesian economics, which is what's taught at most colleges. So you don't get that you can't just keep printing it. And I said, how about the $36 trillion debt? Do you know anything about that? You're a fucking finance guy. You don't understand the debt. It's going to collapse everything. So he thinks we'll be fine and he'll retire and he'll have his 401k and he doesn't want to pay taxes on it. I go, so I don't know what you got. I didn't ask him. So let's say you take, $50,000 out of your 401k. You pay what, $5,000 in taxes. You got 45 grand. You go buy gold with it. And you still have whatever you have in your 401k. And now you have some gold. But don't tell me you don't have money to buy gold. You do. You just choose not to pull it out and buy the gold with it. Well, that's what I did. I took my money, I emptied my 401k, and I went and bought gold. And it was the greatest experience, taking $20,000 to the gold dealer and say, give me, and getting 8-9 ounces, whatever I got. And it was like 1,800 at the time. That was almost as exciting as when I won the 11-team teasers and the 10-team teasers and a whole stack of teasers. And I go to Vegas at Caesars and I give them like 10 of them. And then I give them 10 more. And then I go back in line to cash out. That was very exciting. But so here I'm like, why do you hold the money in the 401k? And he's like a crybaby. He's like, well, so obviously you don't believe the dollar's crashing. You don't believe gold's going up. You don't understand the central bank's buying the gold. And the cherry on top is you don't believe what I'm telling you. Either you don't trust me, you don't respect me, or you don't believe what I'm telling you is true. Obviously you don't, because I've been telling this to you for a year, and I bring it up every time because I'm trying to hammer the nail home. Like, look, this is what's happening. As your friend, I'm trying to protect you, but you're too fucking stupid, or you don't respect me enough to listen to me, or you're like so strange that you only do what you do. In other words, he's not strong enough and stoic enough to listen to me and then go, yeah, that makes sense, and I'm going to do it. So I think he's a very weak person because he can't listen to somebody else. He can only listen to himself. And if he doesn't know, he doesn't understand. And he can't do anything. And I keep telling him, this is not an opinion. This is a fact. This is what's going to happen very, very soon. As Egon said, by end of January, you're going to see very high gold and silver prices. So you're sitting there trying to okay, why aren't you? So then it becomes where I get really stoic and I'm like, why aren't you listening to me? Do you not believe me, or do you not trust me, or are you disrespecting me? So you said I'm disrespecting you. No, you just had a bad economics class where they didn't teach you Austrian economics. So you just don't know. And I'm trying to tell you what's happening. He'd be on the Titanic and I'd say, well, I'm getting off. It's gonna sink. Look, at the water's coming in. But if it's not in his mind, he'll stay on the Titanic. Well, it's not going to sink. It's unsinkable. This is what I'm dealing with this guy, and I'm just fed up with it. I'm like, go lose all your money. I said, I'll tell you what, I won't bring it up again. But when your 401k collapses to zero, don't ask me for any gold because I'm not going to give it to you. I'm giving you what you should be doing now. And if you don't want to listen to it, then fuck off. Then we won't be talking anymore. And that's what you do as a stoic. When you get people like this in your life who disrespect you or don't believe you, what is the point of talking then? At what point do you need to keep talking to them for? Because it makes no sense to me if this is what he's doing and he's not listening to you. That means he doesn't respect you. You know, if somebody else would tell him, he'd probably buy it. Well, he works for the government, he works for the DOD, so that explains a lot right there. He's obviously a moron, but this is the problem. You get people that think they're smarter than everybody else, and yet when somebody tells them, you know, the sky's blue, no, it's I know it's green. That's what they taught me at BYU and my economics class, that the sky's green. And so you just there's nothing further to talk about, and you just start eliminating these people because there's really nothing to say to them. Because if they're not going to respect you and listen to you, it's not like you don't know what you're doing. It's not like I'm making things up or it's it's my opinion. It's going to happen. No, this is a fact. This is what's going to happen. That's why I show you Mark McGuire and Egon to show you exactly what. Also, look, he's saying it. I'm saying it. So it's not just me. That's why I do it. Because I'm dead on. I know I'm dead on. But I'm showing you. Well, here's Egon. He's in Switzerland. He's saying the same thing. Look, just to make you feel more comfortable. I'm very comfortable, as you see. I go buy gold and silver every chance I get. I don't want dollars. I have no money in stocks. I have no money in the bank except for a little bit needed, like now for rent. I got my paycheck yesterday, and I might take a few hundred out to go play poker, but really that's it. Otherwise, I got rent and a credit card, so I paid that. But this is what we all struggle with. And being stoic, we really need to hang around with each other versus sitting in the sauna or the hot tub or with these strange friends and family that, it's very kind of disrespectful. Like if I tell somebody to buy gold, I'm buying it, right? And I'm doing it because I know the dollars is out, because I understand the theory. If you print too much, it goes to zero. Well, what are they doing? You got a $36 trillion debt. You got all this budget, shortfall, and you can't stop it. There is no way to stop the money printing causing the inflation, causing the valuation of the dollar going down. I don't know why people don't understand that's the inflation. They keep thinking it's prices. That's the point. So as you keep printing money, the money becomes worth less and less, and it's lost 99% of its value, which to me is 100%. Like I say, if the Titanic's 70% in the water, it's sunk. There's no way you can stop the other 30% and the boat from going in the water. There's no way you can stop it. There's no way you can stop the inflation. The only way is to come out with gold-backed currency or gold that will stabilize it. You cannot come out with a new fiat currency not backed by gold, will not save anything. So basically, the only option you have is to buy gold. The only thing the U.S. can do is have gold backing the dollar. That's the only thing that'll save it. And really, it's not saving this dollar. It's a new dollar coming out. This now comes out gold back. So this goes to zero. You throw it away. This is what here's the new dollar. That's what Germany did, right? That's what Zimbabwe did, right? So Zimbabwe had their dollar. It was one US dollar bought you 30,000 Zimbabwe dollars. Then they backed it by gold. So they basically got rid of that. That's the only way you could end the inflation, is to get rid of the dollar and replace it with gold back. And all of a sudden, $1 buys you 10 gold backed currencies, which I if I had a chance to go to Zimbabwe, I would take like $20,000 and exchange it and get 10 gold backed currencies. That'd be huge. And I'd have the gold backed currency instead of the US dollar at 10 to 1. Are you kidding me? Otherwise, it cost us it cost us about 2,800 to get an ounce of gold. There you'd be getting all this money at real cheap prices. So again, is there a way to convince somebody, who doesn't trust you or doesn't understand you or doesn't respect you? Because I have Daria and Jenna and Carmen, and because I bet football, does he not respect my economics? What does one thing have to do with the other? Dating girls and betting football games and playing poker has nothing to do with the fact that I'm smart in economics. I got a master's in that too. So, that's maybe that's an image thing, but I don't understand that. So when people basically call you a liar, because basically that's what he's doing. You're telling him to buy gold and he doesn't believe you. He's calling you a liar. Oh, why do I want to talk to people like that? And I know Bobby's saying that with his family. They're not listening to him. And Bobby needs to take a break. And if I was Bobby, I don't know what I would do. I would just say hi and bye with them. You can't have a conversation, and you don't want to have a conversation where you got to walk on eggshells. Well, I can't bring up gold and silver, and I can't bring this up and that up. Then it becomes. I had that with my brother and my mother. They were just too stupid to talk to, and it was easier not to talk to them than to eggshell it and say, well, I can't talk this and that, and I got to listen to my mom vampire me. Oh my God. So I really didn't want to do that. So that was basically, it was easier to not talk to them. She's my mother, but whatever. I mean, then she died and left me $1,400. And, that's why I didn't, another reason. But this is the problem. You have to, I guess you get to the core of the person when they don't respect you and don't listen to you. So if you guys are like saying, hey, buy gold, and nobody's listening to you, I guess it means they don't trust you. They don't believe that you are telling the truth, or what's going on, or they think it's an opinion, or they go, well, that can't happen. And you're saying, no, it's not only could it happen, it's going to happen, and it's going to happen soon. And that's where I don't get people that you point blank tell them, and they just don't listen. And again, they're most people are just morons. They're not taught this stuff. They can't believe it, or they'll see Powell do this and Yellen do that, and all these idiot government guys who are all corrupt and who are trying to keep you in dollars because they want Wall Street to have it. They want to keep you in the banking system in the dollars, because otherwise it all collapses. So they lie through their teeth, and they're very corrupt. But what do? We sit there and we don't say that. We speak the truth. Thank you, Ron. Ron just paid for something today. I guess maybe the pros. So this is what you have, and you're like, it's like football. I give you the game, and you don't believe it at first, but then I keep winning. I go 10-0, then I go 20-0. And then you go, yeah, maybe he knows what he's talking about, but I have to prove it to you, right? If I don't give you a winner, you're not, why would you take my picks? And if I talk to you about economics and I don't know what I'm talking about, why would you listen to me? So I got to prove myself at first to you. Then once I prove myself, now you go, okay. And so I don't know, this guy I've been talking to for years, and he never respects me, and I don't even know why we're friends. I only pick up the phone when he calls me, and he's really like one of these strange guys. He's smart but stupid, streetwise. And I won't talk. I won't call him again. I'm not going to waste my time. He just doesn't get it, and it's really frustrating. But why should I be treated like that, right? So, yeah, sort of like what Jenna did, where she kept going, Howard, or oh look, you have a stain on your shirt, or it's Positano, not Positino, and it's like, okay, I don't need to be treated like that, so fuck off. But I waited till she got home, and I gave her an ounce of gold so she could at least live. And maybe you need to go find a job and stop living off of me, because if you're going to treat me like that, you can't bite the hand that feeds you, right? So anyway, you just reach a point where you're like, this is a waste of time. I'm not gonna keep talking to somebody who doesn't respect me or doesn't trust me. So I mean, that's what life is. You figure out, who do I trust, and who do and is it true? And that's why I share videos with you, so I can show you that. I'm gonna show you Egon again. I just want to show you his silver one. This one, this is a good one to watch, especially now.
Silver. We talk about silver. We know that India and China are importing extreme amounts of silver. Manipulation by the bullion banks still seems to be active. What do you think?
Yes, I think so. There are, I think, major short positions in paper silver among the bullion banks, and obviously you especially have the big American banks there. They are desperate to hold the silver price down, because if that market breaks, there'll be no end to the amount of silver they will have to buy to settle these forward contracts or these derivative contracts that are open. And therefore, they're at every level. They're trying to hold it now. We're holding it around just over the $30 level, for example. But when it breaks, just like when gold breaks, silver will, of course, move at least twice as fast, maybe even faster, 3 times as fast. It's a very small market. From a volume point of view, and therefore, a bit of strong buying and a lot of short covering by these bullion banks will mean that silver could go up dramatically when it starts. And I would expect that to start also probably in the first quarter of next year. But as I always said, silver is. It is an exciting method.
So, if we have this knowledge and we tell people with it, why don't they believe it? This is not me talking. This is Egon. Now, I, of course, feel the same way. So I don't get, if we know this is happening, we know it's the JP Morgan holding the gold and silver price down with their derivatives, and they're all fucked. They need it. As the demand for gold and silver goes to the moon, mostly because the dollar is going to zero. What happens to the dollar when gold and silver go to the moon? It goes out. It goes to zero. It's 99% goes to 100. So if you're holding the 401k stocks or your money's in the bank, what do you think is going to happen to it? You're fucked. You're absolutely fucked, because it's worthless, because it's priced in dollars and there won't be dollars anymore. What's the price of Amazon going to be? It's going to be zero. the market will crash because there won't be any dollars. So what's their balance sheet look like? What's your cash? Zero. What's your accounts receivable? Zero. What's your property and plant worth? Zero. Because it's priced in dollars. Now it gets a little priced in gold. Maybe the stock won't go to zero. But anyway, hey, Ron, Merry Christmas. Thank you, Ron. We appreciate it. And I see that you just texted me. I'll take care of you shortly. We'll go to about 11:30. But you should. What do you need, pro or collar? I think you need pro this week. So I'll give you that password. Anyway, well, at what point, what don't you understand about what Egon and I just said? Pro, okay, I'll get it for you. I'll send it by 11:30. What don't you get out of what Egon just said? That they're holding the price down, but by the first quarter next year, it's going to go because there's too much demand in gold and silver, because the dollar's going out because these idiots keep printing it. You have a $36 trillion debt. At what point is anybody confused here? Or at what point don't you trust, well, no, it really won't happen? At what point are we not understanding this is real? This is about to happen. He's even naming first quarter, which he doesn't do. Okay, Ron. Well, thanks anyway. Merry Christmas. But I'll send it soon. Game doesn't start till 1 o'clock, and I did play both games today. So how come you tell somebody this and they don't understand it? I don't know what. Do you not understand what a derivative is? Do you not understand they're price fixing it? They're keeping keeping the price down. Do you not understand if you have a $36 trillion debt, you're fucked? Do you not understand that money printing causes the money to be worthless? Do you think, well, my money's in a 401k, I got, let's say, 500,000. Do you think that it's safe? Well, I got $500,000. Yeah, but the dollars are worthless. Do you not? What part of this do you not understand? That's why I'm on today, because I wanted to discuss this, because obviously people aren't getting it. And I don't know how else to explain it to them. But at what point do you, just because you have 500,000 monopoly money, do you not understand it's worthless? Yeah, they don't want to understand. Hey, Greg and John, Merry Christmas. Okay, so let's talk to Ron. They don't want to understand. Why don't they? This is their money. My guy keeps saying, this is my retirement. And I keep saying, gold's my retirement. I have no money in the stock market or the bank. It's all in gold in my safe. At what point does the light go on that your money in the 401k is worthless? Well, I don't want to pay taxes. This is his excuse. Well, how much? Okay, you pull 50,000. What's the tax? 10%, $5,000. So you pull 45 out that you buy gold with, that triples, or you buy silver with it that's about to explode first quarter next year. At what point are you, well, I don't want to pay tax. I mean, okay, take half of it out. Take 250,000 and go pay 25,000 in tax, leaves you 225. You go to the gold store with 225. If you can find enough gold to buy and silver, you buy it. And now all you've done is traded worthless monopoly money for real gold and silver. Now, if you need money, you can go to the coin store, take your gold and get money. But since this isn't going to have a value, you probably, it's needed for like, oh, I wanted to pay for a vacation, or I got a credit card or rent or medical to pay right now. So you take the money to pay the bill. You don't hold the money. You don't want to hold the money. Merry Christmas, Greg and John. I like the snowman. Yeah. So you're right, Ron. They don't want to understand, but they come across like, well, I don't trust you. So if you tell somebody and they don't, well, yeah, but I don't believe it. Or I got all this money. Is it a fear of losing the money? Right? I got 500 grand, and if I turn it into gold, what if gold goes down and I have the money? Well, what's the chance of the money going up? Zero. The money, because the more you print, the less it's worth. They're not going to stop printing. They can. You owe $1 trillion every quarter to pay the debt. And where does that money come from? They print it. So how in the world are they going to reduce it? They're only going to keep printing it, which means the value is gone. And as soon as nobody wants the dollar, it's zero. And if we hear every central bank in the world doesn't want the dollar, they're all dumping it for gold. Who wants it? Then you've got Germany, and I just showed you that a couple of days ago. Germany, France, Italy, England, Japan, China, Russia, Zimbabwe, Brazil. I'm running out of fingers. You already lost Greece, that have gone out or are bankrupt. Germany's bankrupt, right? They can't afford the high costs of the electricity from Russia, being with the boycott, the sanctions. So they can't buy Russian oil. They got to buy U.S. oil, and it's 5 times more expensive because the U.S. is fucking them over. So their costs have gone up, so they can't make their Mercedes and their BMWs. And that's Germany. It's making cars and Bosch, and that's it. They're a manufacturing hub, but their costs, the wages, they pay their guys who work at these car companies $100,000, right, in benefits and wages. And you go to the China or India, and they're paying $20,000. So you can't compete with China and India labor. You have the engineers who make the Mercedes and the BMWs with beautiful cars, but the cost is too much, and then you can't raise the price on it. How can you make Mercedes $200,000, right? So you're stuck, and you actually have to lower the price, but your costs have gone up. You've got to get out of the market, and that bankrupts Germany, which means you bankrupt France, which means Italy and the UK are right there, and basically Western Europe's bankrupt. And they have the heavy inflation, and they're all socialists, so they want to give Social Security, and they want to give the pension and the welfare and the I don't know what they do with healthcare. Well, that all costs money, and if nobody's working because it's too expensive for Mercedes to make the cars, maybe they make them in China or whatever. It's too expensive, then nobody's working, and then everybody's pulling. So nobody's paying into the Social Security, and nobody's paying in. Again, they're robbing Peter to pay Paul. So the workers pay for the people not to work. That doesn't work for long. People need a wake-up call. Well, that's what I'm trying to do. That's the point of this class, and that's the point of when I talk to my friend, is the wake-up call. I'm saying, what don't you understand? I keep saying, I brought up the softball experiment. And I said, look, I'm trying to teach the girl. Obviously, I wasn't teaching her correctly, so I tried a different way. I says, with you, you still won't buy gold. That's his wake-up call, but he still won't do it. And you're like, and as Bobby's saying, most of my family, they don't listen. And is it they don't want to listen, or they've heard it from a different source that they believe, and when you contradict the source, they don't want to believe it. Well, if Joe said that the dollar's fine and now Professor's saying it's not, well, I'm going to listen to Joe. And that's really where you're just scratching your head going, well, that's why I tell you, be careful who you listen to. You listen to Peter Schiff or Andy Scheckman or half these idiots, you're going to get bad information. Reichert, Rick Rude, all these guys, you're going to get bad information. They don't know what inflation is. They don't understand gold. Some of them do. Even Egon or Alligator goes back and forth. Mark McGuire gets it, but he's more of a stockbroker. And then Egon's the only one that I can actually see as an economist who actually understands the money printing, and gold is the lifeboat. And that's why I try to make it as basic as 5th grade level so everybody understands it. And I very rarely have questions. I don't get it. So that's what you have. And then why don't people listen, and why don't they listen to the wake-up call? And then it's going to be too late. So what's going to happen is they know better than we do. So we stop with the wake-up calls. Then as all the shit starts hitting the fan first quarter of 25, I guess, when that starts happening, and you can see all these countries going bankrupt. I show you Germany, boom, France, Italy. There was a video I watched yesterday. I'll show you. Here. Bankruptcies hit Germany hard. A big wave is coming. There was brace for bank collapse. Right? Go to your local bank and stock up, because the banks are going to collapse because the commercial real estate market is plummeting, but they took loans from the bank that they can't pay back, and the banks are going to close because, that's how a bank works, right? They take our money and they loan it out, but if they can't get paid back, you close. So if I loan out money to people, and I loaned out $50,000, and now they say, well, I can't pay you back, I'm out of business. That's 50 grand I need, and I can't get it back. So they're going to close the doors on you. Here, Europe's big two in trouble. France and Germany are about to go out. They're both going broke. Well, that's France, that's Germany, there's UK. Well, hello, what do you think that means? These are people who buy our stuff, who we trade with. If they're all broke, they can't keep printing fiat bullshit dollars backed by nothing. So they need gold, which they can't get because the BRICS countries, and especially China and Russia, have all the gold. So there's not a lot of gold for them to get, even if they want it, which is what I warn you guys about, because when I go to the gold store now, he's got 4 or 5 ounces and that's it. I heard some guy on the phone when I walked in the other day, and he says, I'm looking for 1/10 of an ounce, 1/4 ounce, 1/2 of an ounce, and you can't find it. I don't know if he was another store or what, but this store doesn't have it. Now, I don't know if they're keeping it on by themselves, because I've been, as you're saying, the wake-up call. I go to the owner of the coin store and say, what the fuck are you doing? This stuff is going to explode, and you're just selling it so cheaply. What are you, out of your mind? So maybe he's keeping it. He sells a little, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's got a little bit more in the back room. And he's got 3 stores. So I think he knows it's going to go, because I think he listens to me. He gets me, right? He knows I got a master's. So I guess it's the hard part of that they don't want to understand, is Ron saying, why don't they? Or because they, so I guess if your wife tells you something and then this other girl says something else, who do you listen to? Well, I'm going to listen to my wife. What if my wife's wrong? She doesn't know what she's talking about. The other girl's right, but I didn't listen to the other girl. Listen to my wife. And that's the problem. You're listening to somebody you think is smart, but you're not listening to the people that actually know, or at least listen. So when I tell you to buy gold and I do it, well, wait, Howard's doing it. Oh, wait, all the central banks are doing it. Oh, wait, Egon's doing it. Mark McGuire's doing it. They're all buying gold. Well, wait a minute. So it's not just Howard being, well, the guy's out of his mind. He doesn't know what he's talking about. That's why, again, I show you other factors who are saying that. And I'm trying to protect you. That's it. I mean, I know it's about to happen. The train's about to come down the tracks. And if you're on the tracks, you're going to get run over by it. I know that's what's going to happen, or the boat's sinking. I like the Titanic better. The boat's about to sink or go over the waterfall, and you need to get off the boat. And the money's the boat, and the gold is the lifeboat. And I don't know how to say it. I mean, that's not an opinion. That's what's about to happen, as it's happened every time since the fucking Romans. How did the Romans go out? They inflated their money. They took all their gold and silver out of their currency, and the Ottomans took all the gold and defeated them, because the Romans wouldn't fight, because the soldiers didn't have gold. They didn't pay them in gold. They're not risking their lives. So it's always happened because you keep printing the money to zero. So I'm not telling you something new. It's happened 500 times where countries had gold-backed currency and dumped it and just printed and printed. And France and England and all these countries, it's done it. And they've all went to zero. Argentina, Brazil, Venezuela, now Germany. Germany's more business, but it's still, they're printing their money. All the EU and all the UK, all these countries, China and Japan and Russia, they're all, but the difference is Russia and China have gold, so they're protected. India's got gold because their dollar's going out too. So all these countries are going out. That's why they need gold, because you can't print gold. That's the point of the thesis. You can't print gold, so gold can never lose its value, but you can print the dollar to death, as you've done over and over in every country. Ron, just like what the media was saying about COVID and how healthy Biden was. Bullshit. Exactly. I never believed that, and I never wanted to wear a mask. Well, it's not that they refuse to look at the truth. They have alternate bias and alternate reasons for that. Like, they tell you not to buy gold right now in the US because they want you in the stock market and the banks, because the banks are all collapsing because of the commercial real estate. So they need your money in there. So when it does happen, they'll just keep your money. You'll get fucked. They'll just keep your money. Look what happened with Madoff, right? Madoff, it's all a Ponzi scheme. But what happens? The people that made the money in Madoff had to give it back, and then they tried to make the people who lost money whole. What the fuck was that all about? If I made money, it's mine. I'm not giving it back. You got to be out of your mind. And why do I have to give it to somebody who lost? He took the same risk. He got involved in a Ponzi scheme. He lost. If I lose a football bet, I don't expect anybody to cover it for me. But if I win a bet, I expect to get paid for it. So that's what the whole thing with Madoff. So really what they want you to do is stay into the stock market, because they all get commissions, or bonds, or the bank, or real estate trust. They want you in those things because that's on the menu. That's where they make their money. So if you go to a financial planner or a broker, is he going to tell you to buy gold? Never, because there's no commission in it for him. He's going to put you in, buy Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, buy these stocks. They're going up. Oh, by now they're not going up. They're already at the moon now. They got nowhere to go but down. You're going to get your ass kicked. And then the stock market's going to crash when all these foreigners own $32 trillion in it start pulling their money. They're just going to sell and get into gold, and they're not going to stay in the market. The market is not just U.S., it's worldwide. And everybody in dollars is in it for a safe haven until they realize it's not a safe haven anymore and they need to go into gold. So they will tell you shit on purpose to, don't worry, the economy's fine, everything. There's no one. Look at inflation's 2%. First of all, there's no fucking way inflation's 2%. Secondly, it can't go down, because once you've printed 130 or 150 trillion dollars, there's no fucking way it can go down. It can only go up, because you need to print more money for the debt, for the military, for Social Security, for Medicare. You're printing money out of thin air with that. That's more money. That makes it worth even less value. So there's no way inflation ever goes down. There's certainly no way it's at 2%. If you believe that, you got to be kidding me. And that's the problem. So if I were to tell this guy, my friend, and say, well, and you think inflation's 2%? He says, yeah. I mean, then what do you do with this guy? It's you can't really measure inflation in percentage, because that's price percentage. There is no price. You can't really figure out, because of competition, what the price is. So really what you're doing is you're looking at price, more or less. You're looking at money being printed, making the value drop. How do you measure that in percentage? You can't. It just takes you, it's how many, they're trying to do is how many dollars does it take you to buy a Coca-Cola, and try to measure, it went up 30%. So it was 10 cents. It's $3 now. That's the inflation rate. But you can't, because there's competition. who control, well, if Coke goes up to $10, Pepsi will stay at $3 and get all the business. So you're trapped by the way the economy works and competition. You can't just raise prices. That's why it's how much dollars. There's no way it's 2%, 3%. You're out of your fucking mind. So if you believe that, that's another problem. You're believing what these idiots are telling you. Oh, inflation's not, yeah, but you go to the grocery store and it is. And then they want you in stocks. And that's what I keep saying. Gold's not on their menu. You go to JP Morgan and I got $100,000. Well, put it into these stocks and maybe real estate trusts. All they want is your commission. So you're fucked if you're listening to them, but you don't know. So you do listen to them. And then when somebody like me comes around, you're like, well, my financial planner told me to be in stocks. Who are you? You're not a financial planner. No, I eat financial planners for breakfast. I'm 100 times smarter than the financial planners. And that's the problem, but you don't know, so you don't trust. Now, my friend, I just, that's really rude and really disrespectful because he's known me for a while. And he don't want to listen to me. I laugh at him basically. Well, don't come to me when you need gold, when your dollars are worthless. And that's all you can tell him, and he won't care. I think I got through to one guy. I was on the bike at the club, and he's in stocks, and I'm in gold. And I said, well, when the market collapses, you're going to be in trouble. He says, well, I'll meet you at the soup kitchen. He's joking. I go, no, I won't be there. I'm in gold. I'll never be at the soup kitchen. You'll be at the soup kitchen, but I'll never be because I got gold. And look on his face, I think the light finally went on. I think he understood that. They refuse to look for the truth. Well, yeah, Ron, but I don't think they know what the truth is. I'm telling you the truth, but you don't believe me because I'm contrarian, because I'm telling you what's really going to happen. And they're slanted to tell you to keep you in stocks and bonds and money. They want your money in the bank. I saw, I can get 4% interest on a CD at my bank. I says, yeah, but I'll be in dollars. I don't want to be in dollars. I want to be in gold. So you're still keeping me in dollars, even if I get 4% or 20%. You can give me some guy tried to sell me an annuity for 9%. When I got done laughing, I go, I don't want to be, but I'm still in dollars. This is the point you're missing. The dollars are worthless. I don't want to be in dollars. It's like, well, you'll still be on the Titanic. We'll move your room from the first floor to the second floor. The boat's still sinking. I want to get off the boat. I want to get off the dollars. I want to get into gold and silver. And that's the point. And we know silver is so undervalued. I know Luke keeps like, when's it going up? But man, when it goes, you're going to see $1,000 silver and you'll be mighty happy you bought it at $30. You'll never, ever, ever get this opportunity again to buy something that is worth $1,000 for 30. Okay. You try to buy Amazon stock or Apple or any of these stocks, they're way overvalued, except the gold stocks, but you don't want to be in the market. That's why I hesitate. You shouldn't be in the market because the market is just right now, it's the big seven. And then when it crashes, all of it crashes. And what'll happen is when people start realizing the dollar is worthless and the inflation starts heating up even a lot more than it is, you're going to need money. So you're going to need real assets. So that's when you sell your Mahomes card and your Brady card and your Mickey Mantles and your Rolexes, because you're going to need money to live on. And you're going to dump your stocks because that's an asset. You're going to dump your bonds, your real estate, anything you have. Like in the Attack on Wall Street movie, the guy has 60,000 in a real estate trust, but his wife's sick. She gets cancer or whatever. So he needs money to pay the bills. So he tries to get out and they say, well, we just delisted it. It's worthless now. We fuck you. That's why he kills the guy at the end. And so that's the point. He's taking the money out of it because he needs it. So that's what's going to happen with the stock market, right? That's where everybody's got their assets parked. I don't know about Bitcoin. I don't know how many regular people have Bitcoin, or is it just this sailor guy and the ETFs with Fink who are buying millions of ounces of Bitcoin or whatever. But you're going to be fucked because if the banks start closing with the real estate crash, a commercial real estate crash, when that happens, how do you get your money out of Bitcoin? You got to move it to your bank if your bank's still there. And then if you've got 100 grand, you can't go into the bank and ask for 100 grand. They don't have it. They don't keep 100 grand on hand. That's why when I get paid, it's like, give me my 3 grand, give me my 4 grand. That I can do. They'll give me that. But if I were to ask for $30,000, when they stop laughing, they go, well, yeah, we can give you 5 or 6. And that's what they're doing in China. China is asking for people will have 1,000,000 yuan in the bank. They go to the bank to pay a bill or pay for college. They'll only give them 5,000 yuan. I've shown you that. And that is the problem. They getting the money out of the bank is going to be a real bitch. That's why you don't want money in the bank, and you don't want your gold or silver in a safety deposit box, or your Rolex or your diamonds, whatever you have as your assets. You don't want them in a safety deposit box at the bank. No, you're better off with these little storage places that you have the key to, and you can put it there in a safe, or do what they did in A Few Dollars More with that Clint Eastwood movie where they put all the money in a desk, and it wasn't in the safe. It was in this desk that the carpenter made. That was a clever movie. So that's what you want here. You want to be safe. Now, Egon says put some of it in Switzerland or in different countries, but are you going to be able to fly to these countries? Mine's all with me, but I don't have 5 tons or 10 tons. If I did, I might give Egon a couple of tons, but I don't. I'm dealing in coins, so it's very easy to put it in your wallet, put it on the plastic with your keys and your phone, and they're not looking for it. You can easily take 2-3 ounces of gold with you, no problem. Land, you don't have to worry about anything, and then find a bank and then figure out what money do you want, because you don't really want fiat currency. You don't want to sell your gold and get into euros, right? That's not what you want, or dollars. You don't really want to. I don't want to sell it for this unless it's, like I said, for an emergency, for a medical bill, for a rent, a credit card, something that you're going to sell it to pay for something, right? That's the thing. You're going to have mass unemployment soon. A lot of companies are laying off already. But because they're global companies, they're really going to get fucked because, as I just said, Germany's going broke. So when you start laying off the auto workers in Germany, what happens? They don't have money to buy your products. So even though you're selling it on Amazon and all that, nobody's got extra money to buy golf clubs or tennis rackets or, go on a trip or, a lot of that stuff they're using their credit cards for that they owe. They're not going to do that because they're out of work. So you're going to have that problem also. The last point on your comment, Ron, is I don't think they would know the truth if it bit them in the ass. I'm telling them the truth. I told my guy yesterday the truth, and he didn't. It's not that he wasn't looking for it. He didn't believe it, which means he didn't believe me, which offended me terribly. He's offended that I said, well, at BYU, obviously you didn't learn economics. So he's like, oh, I did learn economics. Well, if you learn economics, the first thing you know is you buy gold because the dollar gets printed. That's step one. And when I got done with my master's, the first thing I did was buy this because I knew gold was the answer. That's what I got out of my master's program. He obviously had Keynesian economics. So he might have learned Keynesian economics, but Keynesian economics doesn't work. It's been proven wrong many, many times. It's a piece of shit. That's why the whole world's in the trouble they're in, because they're all doing Keynesian economics, which doesn't work. So he's upset. He doesn't even know he's got Keynesian. I love asking people at work, oh, I had an economics class. Which economics did you have? They don't have a clue. Did you have Keynesian or Austrian? They don't have a clue. Oh, you had Keynesian then. You'll know if you have Austrian because there won't be graphs and charts. Just like me, I never put a graph or chart up. I'll do this just to show visually, but I don't do charts and stuff because you don't do charts in Austrian economics. It's theory, but it's very good theory. It's Adam Smith. So again, they don't know the truth because they've been told by a Keynesian, oh, you can keep printing money. It's okay. We won't run out of money. And that's all we care about is that we'll print money when we need it. We won't run out. But they don't look at the B side of it. If we print the money, it makes the value go to zero. They don't want to look at part two. They only want to look at, well, we can still print the money. Well, why did Germany go out in the 1920s? They were printing $1 billion a day of Reichsmarks, and they went out because it was worthless, but they were still printing. So printing doesn't save you, and the reserve currency doesn't save you. The only savior is gold, the savior of Rome. That's your savior, and that's it. So I don't know what you do when you run into these guys who are basically idiots, right? What else are we going to call them? They're idiots. They don't want to listen, as Ron's saying. They don't want to know the truth, and they don't want to understand. They don't want to know the truth. They think, well, I've got $500,000, so I'm protected because this has never happened before. Oh, yes, it's happened before many times. That's Rome and France and England and Spain and Amsterdam and Germany and Greece right now and Sri Lanka and Venezuela and Brazil, Argentina. It's happening all over the world right now. And they just, oh, I didn't realize, I told the guy, well, Japan's is bankrupt in Germany. And, oh, I didn't realize Japan was bankrupt. Well, that's the problem, right? You're not looking and listening and understanding. So you're working for nothing, basically. You're making your money, but if you're not turning it into gold, it's worthless. So be careful with your paychecks. You better turn them into gold and silver, or the money you're making is you're basically working for nothing. Even though you're getting a paycheck, I know that's what I do. As soon as I get my paycheck, I'm in the bank the next day, and I'm at the gold store the day after that, buying as much as I can. I leave enough for rent and my basic expenses in fiat money. So I'm basically, so if you've bought a house or a car and you're paying on it, you're paying them back with heavily inflated dollars. You're winning by a mile. You're giving, as Bobby gets screwed. Bobby gets $1 million that's worth maybe what, 10,000 because it's an inflated money. That's what you're doing backwards. So if you have a house and you're paying $3,000 a month on your $500,000 house, you're giving them $300 a month for the house. You don't realize it, but that's what you're doing because the money is not worth anything. So you definitely want to be in debt. You want to have, when there's this kind of inflation, you want to be the borrower. You want to pay them back in inflated dollars, which is why interest rates go up, because they realize that, and they realize they got to do it. They've to get their money out, to get their 3,000 out, the interest rate's got to be 25%. So keep that in mind. You're much better off like that. But if you keep your money in the bank, not only will you never get it out, but the value of it will be nothing. So you really don't want it. So that's Christmas lesson learned there. So yes, getting them to understand the truth. All you can do is do the Titanic example, or say, look, gold was $35 an ounce in 1971, is now $2,700 an ounce. Gold is still gold. Nothing has changed in the gold. An ounce of gold, still 1 ounce of gold. Why can't you buy it for $35? Why does it take $2,700 to buy it? Because the dollar's lost value and it takes more dollars to buy the same ounce of gold. But even that doesn't work because COMEX is keeping the price down. The gold price really should be $10,000. So it really should take $10,000 to buy the ounce of gold. And that's something that Alligator will just never understand. It's not the dollar going down. It's not gold going up, the dollar going down. Well, yeah, but COMEX is keeping the price down. So when the price will go up because of demand, not because the dollar goes down, it'll catch up to how bad the dollar's been hit. So that's the other reason they keep gold down, because then you'd realize how badly they've managed the dollar and how weak it is. So keep that in your mind. Anyway, any other questions, comments? Football, we went over. KC, Pitt, we'll go over playoff scenarios one more time in case you missed it. Pitt needs to win the game, and Baltimore. KC needs to win it to clinch the 1 seed. Pitt and Baltimore are tied for the division to win the division, so they both need it. Houston's clinched. Seattle needs the game against the Bears. San Diego win, and they're in the playoffs. Denver wins. They're in the playoffs. The Rams win, and then I think they got to hope Seattle loses, or they got to then beat Seattle next week. Tampa Bay and Atlanta, they both need to win to get the last thing. They won't get wild cards. Green Bay, Minnesota. Minnesota needs it to stay even with Detroit to try to get the 1 seed if they beat them next week. Green Bay, they're out of it, but I'm sure they're going to play. Buffalo goes after the 1 seed if Kansas City loses. Otherwise, KC's clinched and Buffalo's out. Philly still can get the 1 seed, and they need to win their division. Washington can still win the NFC East. So Philly needs it, but check the injuries on Hurst and Pickett. Atlanta, Washington's basically a playoff game. Washington needs it to clinch the wild card. Atlanta needs it to try to win the South and with Tampa. So they're tied. They both need to win. And Detroit needs it to stay on top of the division and stay on top of the 1 seed. They're tied with Minnesota. So no matter what Minnesota does, Detroit needs it to clinch their division and clinch the 1 seed. If Minnesota loses, Minnesota wins. Detroit's got to keep pace, and then they play Minnesota next week. So that's your playoff scenario. And as far as I know, the receiver for Pitt is playing today. Baltimore is pretty good. Houston doesn't really need it. So I'll be shocked if Baltimore loses this game, although it is Lamar. But because Houston has clinched their division and they can't catch the wild card, so well, they don't need the wild card if they clinch the division. So I'd be surprised there. Hey, Jacob. You're welcome, Jacob. Merry Christmas to you. Welcome to the class. Ask questions anytime, but you're more than welcome. And that's what I'm trying to do, is like what Ron's saying. I'm trying to tell the truth and get your head up out of the sand so you understand this $3,000 or 3,000-pound snowball that's coming down the hill that's going to bankrupt everybody. But I try to give you the reason and the examples so you can go, yeah, that makes sense. And then when you try to tell your friends and family and they look at you like, what the fuck? You don't know anything. No, I'm going to keep my money in the bank. And then that's all you can do. Anyway, Merry Christmas. I thought this was important. Well, I wanted to go through the football because now I got that's our number one. But then I wanted to tell you that story of my maybe acquaintance who is sitting there not believing he needs to get out of his 401k because he's worried about paying taxes. Well, you get the money. So if you get 50,000, you got to pay 5,000. Isn't that worth it? Because there won't be money in a year or two. There won't be money. Your 401k will be worthless anyway. So good luck with that. And like I said, don't come calling to me for gold when your 401k collapses, because all your monopoly money goes to zero. And with that happy note, time for lunch, time to watch some football in an hour. I do have Netflix, so I will watch these games. Yesterday, South Florida, San Jose State does go over in 5 overtimes. It was a 27-all, so it was a 54 at the end of the game. Did not cover. You needed 60, I think. The total was 63, 64, so you needed 58. You weren't there, but then it went into all these overtimes, so it did go over. Nothing in college today. Tomorrow, there's 3 games we'll talk about tomorrow. And otherwise, I'm off for the week, so I'm enjoying, and I will talk to you soon. So Merry Christmas. Thank you again. www.teaserking.com. If you want the pros, I got 4 locks. I got a 35 unit lock going. I love that lock. So anyway, a lot of good plays. You can see a lot of teams need it, but it's up to me to tell you, yeah, but don't play that team, but you want to play this one. So anyway, that's what's going on. Merry Christmas, www.teaserking.com. And I got to give Ron his thing. All right. Take care, everybody.